This one is a huge little boy.
More?
I don't know how she can carry him. You think she can carry
Microphone.
Yeah, this one.
Never actually used it.
You know what? I don't know. Like once something comes down and it's
But we
not.
can still clap because then I can sync that audio to this
Okay.
video. Yeah.
Let me just show this one video first.
Who's that?
Look at this guy.
Friend of mine from let's see, Bridget.
Oh, wow.
Such an old man.
He is. Oh my goodness.
You know
Oh, don't touch me.
My mom says like he's the lightest baby I've ever seen. There's no fat on him.
Oh.
My nephew, he's 3 weeks old.
Wow.
About 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he was 3 weeks early, so he wasn't supposed to be born until like now.
Oh, okay.
He was supposed to be born the 17th. He was 6 pounds when he was born, so not.
609 had to wait for a few weeks.
Yeah, the few weeks would have made a big difference, especially the last couple of weeks.
And he felt early, but then the labor was 30 hours long. So if you're gonna be early, come on out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Struggling.
Sasha, you having a hard time?
Yeah, do
Yeah.
that after.
She said, oh, Lord, all of this. You have to carry all this with you all the time?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna press record and then do you wanna clap?
Yeah. But yeah.
How does it work?
So press record, and then you say like, just say like, this is Alison, this is take one, and then I'll clap.
This is Alison and this is take one. Okay, great. So can you just start by saying your names and who you are and how y'all know each other?
My name is Jenifer Hope Forster, and I'm Carolyn's sister.
And my name is Carolyn Waring, and Jenifer is my sister. When I was about 13 months old, my mother, 15 months really, my mother put this baby in my lap and said, here, this is yours, take care of her. And we've been together ever since. We are from Portsmouth, Virginia. We came here as little girls. I was 7, so Hopey was younger than that. She was 15 months younger. And we've been in New York ever since. You know, basically we've lived in the same area. We came here in 1957 and we lived on Girard Avenue. We moved from Girard Avenue to Medford Place. Then from Medford Place we moved to Fox Street, where my mother passed away, and we went to live with her sister. And we lived on Tiffany Street. Then as teenage girls, both of us came to Kelly Street. I was 16, Hopey was 14, and we've lived on Kelly Street since 1967 to the present. And different buildings along Kelly Street, we've lived here. Yeah.
So what are some, do you each have like a favorite memory or story of each other when you're younger?
Our favorite
We used to
stories,
fight.
yeah, that's like I said, we used to fight. We used to give each other bloody noses, cut each other up, and everything else. Once we got a little older, we don't fight as much. We curse each other out and go about our business. But when we were younger, we used to draw blood.
Mm-hmm. I think that we could say we're both strong personalities, both independent, and each of us wants her way. We feel that we're right. And it took a long time before we understood that we could both be right, just not at the same time, and sometimes at the same time. But even if we weren't, we had to agree to disagree agreeably. And we've learned that a little bit, now. The funny thing about this, though, is that even when we were children, if you touched one of us, the other would get you. We could beat each other up, and as Hopey said, we have drawn blood many times from each other, but nobody else could do that. We just wouldn't allow that. I could beat her up. Yeah, it's my sister. She could beat me up, but nobody else. We have a brother, too, that is younger than both of us. And he's a part of that equation also. We beat him up, but nobody else could, We grew up with the premise that it was just the 3 of us and we had to stick together. And we did that. We come from an abused background, and it's a wonder if any of us or none of us. I think we all are a little cuckoo, though. I think that we are a little.
I don't agree with that. I think she's a little cuckoo. There's nothing wrong with me.
No, but and during the 70s, we watched as the Bronx burned, so they say. We were a part of watching that. I remember in 928, they had a fire in my sister's building, and the police was trying to drag her out, but they couldn't. And she just was graciously in there throwing water on her walls to keep the walls being wet so the fire from next door wouldn't come into her
my
home.
records and my plants. I had a whole bunch of plants in the window, and I had a lot of records. You know, I wasn't leaving and let this stuff burn, which was silly now, but that's what I did.
Did you eventually leave, or what happened?
Eventually, somebody dragged me down the stairs, really carried me down the stairs, and I had to leave, but then I snuck back up.
What happened to the building?
The fire was put out, then late that night, the fire came back again, so it was like, it took a while before them to get it under control.
What building number was that?
That was,
928.
yeah. But the
You
next,
lived in 928.
yeah, the fire was in the other building, the
32.
Yeah.
And that's how, that was what it was in the 70s and stuff. It started to slowly burn. All the buildings across the street from where we facing the other side of the street were all burnt down. They all burnt down. They were all empty at one point. And they stayed empty for a lot of years. I didn't have curtains up in my bedroom window because there was nobody there. And this went, I don't know how long, 12 years it was empty.
And what was it like to live in the neighborhood at that time? What was...
Well, we more or less went around doing the same thing we normally do. If we gave a party or a block party, we still did it. We still had people come, but it was more like, it was like a ghost town, really.
Yeah.
If you want to say, that's the way it looked like. But everybody's still continuing doing what they normally do. It didn't change the way we live. We still lived and went shopping, played outside, and did the same thing. The kids played outside. You know, everything more or less stayed the same with us.
I would say scary and safe at the same time. And it was scary because we didn't know when or where a fire would break out. We just knew that it would, so we were on a constant state of alertness. But together, in that if it did happen, we were all going to band together. And that meant everybody that was on the block, if the fire was over there, everybody went over to help you on this side. If it was on another, we stuck together. We had a great sense of family and camaraderie back then. And what was done to one, we perceived it as being done to all of us. So we banded together. We would have rent parties to help each other pay. If you couldn't pay your rent, there was a party. Back then, and not to talk about the negative elements, but even our negative elements were a little positive. Nobody was allowed to sell drugs on Kelly Street at that time, although you had multiple drug users on Kelly Street. Myself is one of them. But we didn't allow people to sell drugs on this block. And the kids were a treasure. They were very much treasured. Kelly Street has always been known for a lot of children. And the children would go up and down the street. At that time, they had this thing where when the street light came on, that's when the kids were supposed to go in. And it was automatically understood that when the lights come on, we shouldn't have kids running around at nighttime. And they pretty much honored that. We could look at these children, not these children today, but the children from past years that we had, you could give them the eye, so to speak. You can give them the evil eye, and they would stop what they were doing on a dime. If you saw one around on Tiffany Street and he did something and somebody saw it, before he got home, people would tell on that child and he would get corrected or, chastised by his parents. Nowadays, when you see a child do something, you have to just, well, that's how it is. That's what they do. You can't say anything because the parents are going to go off on you and be all mad, and you're lucky if they don't hurt you. Plus the child can. And then I really think we went wrong when we started, there's a difference between correcting a child and abusing a child. And I think you should spank them. When they do something wrong, I believe in tapping their hind not hitting them all over the arms and everything in the face, but bend them over and smack their hiney, and that's stop. It's embarrassing, and it also drives home a lesson, but we can't do that anymore. But Kelly Street was always a family-oriented block.
It still is.
Yeah, and still, that's.
Did either of you ever think of moving, or what kept you on the block?
We never thought about moving. I think about moving
No, we
now.
did move.
Yeah,
We did move.
Yeah, we did
Each
move.
of us moved away. Yes, we did. I
That's
tried
true.
that up in the upper, what do you call that place? In Wadsworth Avenue, up in not Porter, in the Washington Heights. I moved to Upper Washington Heights, and I lasted a year, almost 2 years up there. But it was before I came home. I came back to Kelly Street because there's no. Hopey moved over on Wheeler Avenue.
And I didn't stay there.
We
Not
did.
even a year.
Yeah, there was.
I came back because I spent more. Even though I live on Wheeler, I walked over here in Kelly Street because Mommy had my kids, so I used to pick them up. And then I kept saying every evening, why I keep doing it? Mommy said, baby, that's an apartment. You want the apartment? I said, no, I don't want the apartment. Then I went to think, I said, yeah, Mom, I want the apartment. I'll take the apartment. And then ever since then, I was living in 928. I stayed in 928 until I moved into 940. But all my life, it seemed like we've been on Kelly Street. We moved away, but it seemed like we always
But it
came
was
back.
short-lived with us. I moved over there and I came back. I worked up in Isabella, around the corner from where I worked. And there was nothing, it didn't feel homey. I had an elevator building too. It was with the basement, with the washing machine and the dryer. It was had all those comforts, but it did not have that feel. When you walked out the door, there wasn't too many familiar faces for me to see. I didn't know anybody that much. When I came back, walking on Kelly Street, as soon as you hit that corner,
You know everybody.
you know everybody. And it's like, yeah, you didn't get that feeling of belong, that feeling of this is home. Except for here on Kelly Street. When I moved away, I came over every weekend too. Every weekend I was here, every single weekend.
I was here every day. Every day after work I was here. Because I had to pick up the kids, so I had to come back here. Mommy was in the window, baby, the kids are ready. So every day, so I just said we might as well just live here.
And before that, I remember when we were talking with Robbie, he was talking about the time when the Bronx were burning and people were really like fixing up and gutting the apartments. Do y'all remember that time? Where were you all up to?
Yeah, I was pregnant during that time. I remember that because we were in the building picking dirt, picking nailing the nails. Yeah, it was a good time. And it's when the building was like a hollow, nothing really there. We had to put the beams, the sheetrock. It was a lot of work, but it was fun.
And wasn't there a garden back there? Were y'all part of it then?
Oh yeah, always a garden in the back there. It wasn't as elaborate as this one is now. It was just plain open ground. And we planted, there was a pear tree back there, an apple tree. We grew a lot of greens, we had berries, we had squash, tomatoes. Oh man, it was really, it was nice. It was always, we had that garden back there. I think around in the 80s, the late 80s is when we lost it. The Potts, who was our parents, they sold their buildings in 1987. From 1987 on, it just started to go down. And it just lost some of the familyness to it. Just a little. We allowed somebody else to buy the buildings, and when they bought the buildings, it kind of went to ruin. That was the beginning of the end. That wasn't such a good time those years. It wasn't such a good time. Then plus, all of us on Kelly Street at that time, you gotta remember in the 70s, we were probably, some of us in our late teens, early 20s. So we were young kids. We were growing and developing.
And we were partying a lot.
And partying a lot. But even through that partying and that development, Banana Kelly, the Community Improvement Organization, was formed in, I think it's 1976. So we still had to, and that came from, I think whose kitchen table was that? I think it was either Pop's kitchen table or down here. But that came, that organization, the beginnings came from those humble people. Robbie was one of the original people. I was one. Francis, Leon. Hopey through Robbie was,
And Ricky used to.
Ricky was a part of it too back then, way back then.
Ricky used to
Ricky
take
is
all
her
the
brother.
Yeah.
And he used to take pictures. He was really the cameraman back then, but all of us. And through the years and through time, situation and stuff, we kind of grew away from it and stuff. Now, when the 2000s, we all kind of came back to it again. We all came back to it again. Hopey and Robbie always lived up here in the street. I went away, came back again, kept the apartment up here. But, and I was determined. I said, I'm not going back into community service. I'm not going to do it anymore. But we're back again. We're doing it again. We're down here in this garden. This garden is, what is that? That's 15 beds back there. And it's full. It's a lot of work. And trying to keep people interested and involved is a hard job. In August alone, we started in 2014. 2014, this garden grossed 350 pounds of food. In 14, it was, again, we did pretty good. We had something like 500 pounds. This year alone, it was almost 700 pounds of food came out of this garden. So each year we're growing and developing and learning. And we have a great success with the younger kids. I'm talking about 4 to 12. We have a lot of work to go from the 15 to the 45, 50 years,
Because a lot of them don't want to come down. They'll come down one time and you don't see them again. But we just keep on. That's why we give like little Halloween parties. We do the cooking classes and stuff, try to get them more involved. And most of the time you get a handful. But with that handful, we keep on. Maybe we'll get another handful.
And so what propels y'all to do this work? I know you're in the garden, you're on the community councils. Like, what propels y'all to become active community members like that?
Because for one, we love the blog, and we want to see it strive. We want to see things get better with the blog. Even though you may not have people helping us, but us alone, we try to do the best that we can because we want it to succeed.
Somebody got to do it. I keep trying to get somebody else to do it. They won't do it, so I end up doing it.
She said that every Saturday. She said, I got to come down. I said, okay, come. She said, okay, I'm coming down. But she comes down.
Because you got to keep it going. There was a movie that expresses exactly how I feel, and it's the Titanic. And when Jack gave Rose he told Rose, stay in the boat, Rose, just stay in the boat. Rose ended up living 90 years. Poor Jack perished, but we just stay in the boat and we just keep growing, just keep going, just keep going. And
eventually we could pass it on to someone else that wanted to do it.
Because when we first in 2011, when they started to renovate these buildings,